Dominic, Liam Williams has been with you a year now. Just give us a progress report on how the 12 months have gone.
It's been a good 12 months, he's one of these guys who's always on your case, what am I doing? He'll be asking you 2 days before, what's he doing 2 days after? And, he's always in the gym 10 minutes before you ask him to be there. And he's sending you messages, where are you? And, that's the type of kid that you want. He's chasing me down. He's very disciplined and he likes to fight. So, his first fight, never forget it. Went to Wales and all the things what could have gone wrong went wrong. We had to wait around for an hour before his fight because the paramedics weren't there. And then when he got in, he boxed a kid who was a lot heavier than him, last minute opponent. That's it, Craig Nicholson. And the rope snapped halfway through the first round, I think it was. And I said to Liam, when they've got this rope repaired, you've got to go out and stop this kid, because what's going to happen is he's going to get abandoned this fight if you don't go out and fill him in. That's what he did, hit him with a body shot. He fell onto the ropes, the kids went down, and the fight was stopped and Liam won. I can imagine if that fight had got cancelled after all the time he spent in training, he would have blown his top. So it's been a good 12 months. He's obviously came up against Mark Efron, unbeaten. I think everybody was tipping Efron to win. He was a middleweight coming out from super middleweight. Liam was a light middleweight going up to middleweight. And I'd watched Efron, I thought, he's a dangerous kid, and we had a bit of fun up in the build up to that fight, and it was a cracking fight. And Liam came through and won that. And then he finished off Joe Mullinder in March. So he's been quite busy. Obviously he's fighting in 2 weeks' time. That'll be roughly 4 fights in the space of a year. It's probably the best he's been, the most active he's been in 12 months in his whole career. And he's away from home, away from Wales, away from his family. And he's dedicated and he's switched on.
Is Kareem Macau a step up from where he's been fighting the last 3 fights, would you say, then, including Mark Efron? Yeah,
it is. The kid's experienced and he's been around, and it's obviously for the WBC silver belt, so it gets him high up in the ratings. So I said to Liam a couple of months back when they offered him the Mullinder fight, he says, I feel like I'm stepping back a level. I said, listen, just fight who's put in front of you. Don't worry about who they are. Just fight anybody and everybody. Keep your momentum, keep yourself moving, and don't stop. Don't be waiting for fights. Don't be inactive. And he's followed the plan, and he's in the gym now, obviously, putting it into practice.
It'd be a real feather in his cap, so to speak, if he stopped that cow, because he's never been stopped. Went the distance with Lemieux, is a big puncher at middleweight.
I think the trick is not to go in there trying to knock him out. I think when you do that as a fighter, the fighters go into the shell and they're very aware of what you're trying to do. So he's almost got to ambush him really, and just beat him up first. Liam can do that. He can box, but he likes to have a tear up. But if he goes in there with the right plan and busts this kid up, it could be a stoppage, but it's not going to be the plan. The plan is just to beat him.
With Liam, how do you control his temper? We all know if he sees the red mist sometimes.
Well, you've seen what's happened today with Willy Hutchinson, who's a light heavyweight, when they start giving lip to the trainer, Steve. I don't like to do it in front of people, but sometimes you have to give him a beat down. And luckily, Liam's clever enough not to lip back just yet, because he knows what's going to be coming.
He'll be grappling him.
Well, you don't know. There's always there's more than one way to skin a cat, whether you put him on an hard run or take him on a heavy leg session, and then you get him in the ring and you beat him up, don't you? There's more than one way to do it. So Liam's a smart kid, and he knows everybody's working for him. We've got me, John, and Mia Khan, who takes him on the pads. Everybody in the gym's behind Liam. He's got a good team behind him, so he knows he's in a good place, and he does as he's told. There's a benefit to him.
Where do you think he's going to settle weight-wise? Is it going to be middleweight or back at junior middleweight? Because I'm just guessing that the longer you stay at middleweight, the harder it must be to get down to 155.
That's what people think, but that's because fighters spend too much time out of the gym in between fights. You see so many fighters, they have a big fight and then go on a holiday and blow themselves up, and it's too hard to get back on track. But Liam, for the last 12 months, to be fair to him, has kept on it, and he could make light middleweight. He just needs a little bit longer. If the right fight's there, he can get down to light middleweight. So it's wherever the fights are, and it's a good thing to be able to do, because he's a strong middleweight as well. He's not the biggest, but he is very strong for his size. Almost like Cole Froch was at super middleweight. Cole never walked around much overweight, and he was very, very strong and powerful. And Liam's the same. So, and he'll even be stronger at light middleweight. Even when he drops down a weight, he'll be a big, strong light middleweight. So whatever fights come for him, we can toggle between two. It's just what opportunities arise.
Do you think the big fight's going to come maybe next year for him? Do you think it could be even a Canelo fight, because these people do look for opponents, don't they?
They do. Obviously that's the plan to get into the big fights, and you look at the people around, and Canelo and Golovkin, and look at Golovkin's last fight. I've seen Steve Rolls. We had Billy Joe Saunders sparring with Steve Rolls in Canada before he boxed David Lemieux, and it was no surprise with the result, because the way Billy sparred with Steve Rolls, he made a dead easy job of it. So when you see that, I don't know, sparring and fighting's fighting, but they like to fight the likes of Steve Rolls, but they won't fight the likes of Billy Joe Saunders. A bit too live, a bit too active, a bit too good on the feet. And same with Liam. We'll never know until they get put in them fights. But if them fights came along, the Golovkins or the Canelos, it's a fight you've got to take. It's big money. It's a big. Big fights, and that's the type of things that these kids want. They want something to, put the fear of God into them.
And let's talk about your other charge just mentioned, Willy Hutchinson. We saw you having a little grapple there this morning. Was that showing who's boss, was it?
Listen, we always have a little challenge. But the thing is with him, it's he's got that baby face, but he's got a killer instinct, and you've got to be careful with him, because actually I think last week we were doing some pads, and I just slightly took my eye off the ball, and he threw a shot, and luckily I just got the pad coming to my face, and he hit me on the pad, which just knocked me over, and it wasn't even an accurate shot. So you've got to be careful. He's a strong kid. He's a nice kid, and we have a bit of fun every now and again. We have a bit of a wrestle. But yeah, he knows who's in charge. He does as he's told. That's one good thing about Willy as well. They listen. He's been around a few of the trainers before. He's been around a lot of the amateur scene, and I think when he came here, he found his home. He realised he's getting looked after. The people who are around him know what they're doing, whether it's diet wise or training wise or fitness wise. Everything he knows. He's a smart kid, so he's very respectful in that sense. And we have a bit of banter every now and again, and we have a laugh and a joke. But when it comes to the business, we're serious about what we do.
What is it that made you so excited about it? So I remember talking to you on the phone a year ago. I think you were on the phone at a magazine piece, and you said you brought up Willy Hutchinson. That this kid is a project that's going to go a long way. You pretty much do a project from the, I might got him from the beginning almost, and it's going to go a long way. This one.
Well,
what is it you saw?
Well, you just got
excited because you keep your feet,
on the ground.
You're not one to say this is shouting.
It's very rare that you get a kid coming into the gym from another place. At 19, 20 years old, who's really rounded in what he does, and he's got that fighting instinct. There's no fear in him. That's the thing. It's like, we've seen Yves Ngabou here, the cruiserweight champion, and he's a big guy, and Willy sparred him for a couple of fights, and he actually had to spar him southpaw. Willy had to be southpaw to do it, and that's the kind of thing. There was no fear. There's no fear at all. It was just a case of, well, you have to outbox this guy. So when you see that kind of thing, they don't say, well, he's bigger than me, or he's not the right. I've got to do it southpaw. You put yourself at a total disadvantage sparring that guy, and still came through it and looked good doing it. So when you see that in a fighter, you know that as long as you guide them the right way, they're going to make it big, because the one thing is they're not scared to get hit. They're not scared to hit. Outside the ring he's very mild and placid. You wouldn't even think he was a fighter, and that's a good thing. But when you give him the hard work, he never complains, he never moans, he just does it and then says, what's next?
That's brilliant, thanks for that.
All right.